The second you stop innovating is the second you start dying as a company.
Hey friends, I'm James Grantis, and I'm here with my friend Pavel, who is many things. He's a father, he's a business owner, he's a CEO. Pavel, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Pavel, and I'm the CEO of a company called Mortgage Automator, and we're a software provider for private lenders. In fact, Hosper and James is one of our clients, and he's been on our system for, I think, close to 4 years now.
I think it's close to 5 years now. Do you remember how we met?
I remember sitting down with you at a bar initially, right after you became a client.
I remember, clearly I hold this memory as a much more importance. I remember you giving us the vendor presentation because at that time, the company had like 4 or 5 people. So you were doing, as the CTO, you were also doing the client demos.
That's right.
And then we were talking, and then we were standing outside the room after the demo, and then I think it was like that Step Brothers moment. Like, are we gonna become friends? And to your credit, you said, "Do you want to just go get a beer and we'll keep chatting about this?" And I appreciate that. I remember that I think you are my first really real close friend that came from, we're vendor client.
A random connection that just appeared.
Yeah, a random connection that just appeared. We didn't get brokered. The friendship was not brokered by a mutual friend, and that's really cool. And I think it's, I want to talk about this eventually, but I think one thing that's really cool about our friendship, our relationship now, is that we're clients of each other. So when I give you, if ever, constructive feedback and vice versa, it's genuine. Because obviously I really appreciate that you and your family have trusted us, and of course our business trusts you.
And I guess for the sake of the viewers, full transparency, my family and friends are actually also clients of Hosper Mortgage. They are investors in the company, and we have a lot of clients on our system. Over or close to 400 different private lenders in North America use us today. And Hosper is, one of the best examples. So I'm just going to do a shameless plug for your company right now, just so that the audience does know that we do have family who's invested.
Cool. Well, appreciate that. Obviously, the testimonial, we're going to clip that and use that for another purpose. But today, I think why I wanted to chat with you, why I wanted to record our conversation. We've had so many, in my opinion, interesting conversations over the years. Also watching our companies grow kind of in parallel at the same time, helping each other. I think you've got a ton of interesting things to say. And I think folks that are listening to the things that we talk about investing, that this being a mortgage adjacent service, I mean, you're directly providing software to companies like the one I run, is applicable. Why not? So maybe let's also expand on it and explain. I think we need to give, let's boost your credibility here. So tell us about the company you've built with your 2 partners. I know Lori and Joe obviously know I'm great guys as well, but tell us about the company you've built and what that journey's been like.
Well, initially I was running a web development agency, and Joseph came to me with a need to build a software for his lending business. And that's how Automator version 1.0 technically started. So initially it was just generating term sheets or commitments, and there was an ability to pull payments and push payments. Ultimately, I ended up exiting my business, and before I could breathe, Joe swooped in and said, "Hey, why don't we make this software available to everybody in Canada? Documents only." Famous last words.
Yeah.
We ended up recoding the entire system from scratch within the first year and a half, and launched to the public in January 2019. And since then, we've been growing exponentially. Now we're a team of almost 70 employees internally. We don't outsource; everybody is in-house.
Mm-hmm.
Only a few people are outside of the province, still in Canada. And now the system is a true end-to-end solution for private lenders. So it not only does it generate all of the internal contracts and compliance documents, it allows you to manage your team, all the communications, emails, text messages, etc. And it handles all of the servicing components, loan increases, decreases, statements, NSFs, whatever comes in a typical loan cycle,
Yeah, awesome. So obviously, I'm very well aware of what your system does. I think that's a great recap for our audience here. Simple way I'd summarize it is you're the backbone. You're the backbone of our loan management system. So we manage 1,200 loans. We use Mortgage Automator as the backbone for everything from the origination to the funding to the payments and documents. Not only documents, but definitely documents. And so that's you're so integrated into what we do. This was a big decision for us to make, right? It's a big level of trust, and I'm sure you remember the hesitancy. Trusting a other company. You talked about your 70 employees all being in-house, not outsourcing, because you like to have that control. So certainly if you can find a good fit, it's been great for us. But I want to talk about and ask you more specifically what it's been like building a 70-person company. What did you have to change? What worked at, we're 24 people as of Monday. So what worked for you at 24 people that doesn't work at 70? And talk about what you had to change as the business was built.
I think that every startups, doesn't matter which vertical it is, goes through fundamentally similar issues. So from when you get to about a 10-person size, you run into issues of not having enough washrooms for your team.
Amen.
And I'm sure you've gone through that as well.
Yes.
The optimal size of a company to run, in my opinion, is sub 25, because that's when you can still retain the culture and you reduce the various HR issues that come up over time. Once you cross the 50-person threshold, you need to start introducing mid-level managers to separate yourself from the doers and from the lower layer, because quite frankly, there's not enough time in a day to invest into building those relationships. And so then you need to actually focus and you need to empower and enable other people to handle those tasks for you. Now, the toughest part for me, I think, was to continue maintaining our company values. And if you're curious, our values internally are...
Wow, could you sense that I was about to ask you what your values are? I'm impressed.
Our values are to make every day better. Now, it's a simple statement that has a lot of thought that went into that. So how do you make every day better? Well, you can make it better for yourself by staying organized, staying on top of the changes within the system, the trends, the market, by communicating effectively. And how do you make it better for others? Well, again, clear and direct communication is one of those mandates that we have. This way, there's no feelings involved. You're giving as many facts as possible so that other people can make decisions as quickly as possible and to do their jobs effectively. It's to help others, if and only if your own house is in order.
Sure.
How do you make a day better for your clients? Well, you empathize with them. You understand their issues. You understand their struggles, and you try to cater solutions to help make their experience better. But it's not just about our clients. It's about their clients. Our job as a vendor is to make you look good to your clients, to your investors, to your borrowers, to the brokers that you're working with, etc. And one thing that my friend would tell me, he runs a successful marketing agency in Toronto called Octopus Inc. And he would say that your optical nerve is connected directly to your reptilian brain. So when you see something beautiful, it invokes feelings of trust, reliability, etc. So when you see a beautiful car drive by, the first emotion that you get is, wow, that's so cool. I want it. And then your rational brain kicks in. So suddenly, where are you going to park it? How much is it going to cost? Is it going to fit my kids? Can I take it grocery shopping? And suddenly you realize that you need a minivan and not the first emotion that came across. And so I think that's part of the philosophy that we try to maintain regardless of the growth, which is make every day better and make our clients look good.
So, the first thing that comes to mind, and I've seen, of course, I remember all the different roadmaps you showed me over the years of all the different expansions and product development. So ambitious, what you've taken on. Of course, expanding to the United States and the different requirements in that market. How do you, I think you do this very well. So I would like you to dumb it down for me. What's your secret to prioritization? Or how do you prioritize? Do you have a system? Do you have a framework? What can you share with me that's worked for you?
I think it comes down to judgment. And the question is, how do you exercise good judgment throughout running a company and just every single day of your life? And this is something that I've lived my life by. Somebody explained this to me many years ago. And so let me ask you this. What does it mean to have good judgment to you?
Okay. Making logical, rational, sound decisions would be what comes to mind.
How can you ensure that your personal decisions are logical and sound? Because the reality is, we don't know what we don't know. And so what I've been explained many years ago was to have good judgment is to create as many options as possible. Now, sure, you want to evaluate them quickly, and you can get into a whole conversation about how to evaluate a decision. But ultimately, it's about creating as many options as possible and choosing the best option for you at that time.
Okay, so I like it, but creating as many options as possible makes sense. You need someone to do a job, get 5 quotes are better than 3, 10 quotes are better than 5. How do you deal with the fact that at some point you just need to make the decision? And yes, you could have more data educating you, but that's just, you just need to make that decision. And you get almost that analysis paralysis stage where I see a lot of people, they want to know that they're making the perfectly right decision, so they just don't make the decision.
Well, I think you need to strike iron while it's hot. You need to understand that you're going to create, you're going to make bad decisions. You're going to create technical debt no matter what you choose to do.
Technical debt? What does that mean?
I mean, when you're running a software company, ultimately, when you're building a feature, it doesn't matter what decision you make in terms of technology, in terms of approach, you're always going to create some level of technical debt that you're going to have to repay later. You can choose, if you come to us with a feature request, I need a new field. We have a choice. Do we create this one field for your company, or do we create it for everybody else? How do we turn this field on? Do we put in a single checkbox, or do we create a whole ecosystem now that will allow you to create as many custom fields as you want to create, right? So one solution could be very quick, and we could have that field built for you in a day. Another solution can take 6 months, but it will enable long-term scalability of the system. At the same time, that decision will also create a whole bunch of technical debt, because if it's not optimized correctly, it can actually cause a bunch of new issues to come up in the future. And so everything you do has consequences. It's just a matter of understanding that. Now, striking iron while it's hot is an important concept here, because the way we make decisions as well is also based on what is going to help us scale. What are the majority of our clients need? What are some showstoppers that need to be built in order for our clients to continue using the system?
What was a showstopper that comes to mind? What's a critical thing that you said? Joe said to you, documents only, and then you realize, okay, well, we gotta just also do. What was the next one?
Well, the next one was getting into servicing.
Okay, so payments.
So pulling payments from borrowers, paying investors, reporting around that. And when we started expanding across Canada, what I quickly realized, and this is what was bad, but this was bad judgment on my part technically, because Joe's company was not at all representative of other companies in Canada, let alone in the US or the rest of the world.
Right, because we've come to realize together, as I speak to my peers in the industry, and as you speak to all your hundreds of clients, everybody does things differently, right?
Absolutely. And that's part of the value proposition of private lenders.
Right.
It's how do you as a company, how do you differentiate yourself from your competition.
Mm.
So, for example, how do you differentiate yourself as Hosper?
Speed and service would be the main thing. So we realize, in our business, money is a commodity. So we don't really have a different or better product than anybody else. Pricing is also relatively commoditized. So our differentiator has to be in the trust that's built with our customers, in the case of origination, our brokers, and being able to close as quickly as possible.
So that has to do with their experience.
Yes.
Now, as an owner of Hosper,
Yes.
do you spend time thinking about the experience that you're giving to the parties that you're working with?
My portion of the responsibility of Hosper is more to our investing clients. So I spend a lot of time thinking about that experience and what our brand is to that audience. Certainly when I'm at trade shows and when I'm at the Canadian Mortgage Awards and we're sitting in rooms full of industry peers and mortgage brokers, I think probably more about what is our brand to these people, how are we perceived to our broker partners, than the experience. I'm going to want to write that one down, because I'm sure everyone in our business that is dealing with a broker from submission to closing should be thinking about what is the experience on the other computer screen.
Well, 100%. But also think about your investors.
Yeah.
These are individuals that are used to perhaps traveling the world,
Yes.
staying at four-season hotel chains.
Yes. Yeah.
And that level of service is expected.
Yeah. Well, that I spend a lot of time, frankly, that is what I think that is our focus. The community that we've created with our investors, so that there's a level of trust and that they know who we are as people, not just as, Hosper employee or the guy that sends me mortgage deals or, the fund that I invest my money in. We want them to know who we are as people because we want to know who they are as people. And if we understand what's motivating them, if I boil it down really, really crudely, I think the average, frankly, we deal with high net worth individuals. So many of them are business owners or professionals or C-suite executives or retired and had successful careers, and they want to focus on what's important to them. And as much as I want them to believe mortgages are important to them, it's not. Mortgages are a means to passive income so that they can focus on their family, their business if they're running a business, or their job, their career, or their legacy. Like they're focused on so much more important things in their life that we are just one tiny component. But the reason that I think we're good at being the expert in that tiny component is that's the entirety of what we're focused on. So we'll be that little tiny kernel of expertise for that the 6 minutes a day that they're thinking about, renewing their investment or adding more money to their investment with us. I think that what you've shown me right now is I personally have spent so much time thinking about one half of the equation. And I'm going to use that same methodology to think about the broker side, the origination side of the equation, because that certainly can't hurt us.
Absolutely. It can only make you better and provide a better experience to all the parties involved. And this is what a lot of companies forget. Just generally speaking, if you go to a mechanic and drop your car off, what is your experience going to be like?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if it was an exceptional experience, time and time again?
Mm-hmm.
You would want to tell everybody about it, all your friends. This would be the mechanic you recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that should be applied in every single aspect. And so that's the kind of thinking that we're trying to always maintain within our organization, because that's what's actually important to me and my business partners. And we're trying to pass that knowledge and those values onto our team.
Yeah, so I love that. So lead with experience. I want to pivot from experience to sort of another theme that I've seen as your company's grown, and that would be innovation, right? It's easy to just blindly say software equals innovation. But I certainly think you guys have innovated the way that the industry operates. So enough for me. I'm going to ask you that question. What does innovation mean to you? Or, why is innovation important in your words, please, Pavel?
The second you stop innovating is the second you start dying as a company.
Okay. I feel like
and I truly believe that. And that's because especially in the software business, somebody's always trying to build a system that's similar to yours and that's going to be better than yours.
Mhm.
And they're building it knowing your limitations, perhaps,
Mhm.
or they have some other insiders in the industry. And so the key to defending your market position, and so far we've been able to establish quite a strong market position for ourselves. It's to realize and recognize that our competitors, whether we know about them or not, because there's probably a bunch of newcomers
Mm.
that we haven't even heard about yet
Mhm.
that are working really, really hard right now to try to build a better system than what we have. And so the key is to be aware of that and to continue pushing the envelope, to continue making everything better, and to try to think about the next step of what our clients are going to need. So for us as an organization, what we're doing is we're moving into a platform play. Right now, we have a great piece of software that handles tasks that companies like yours need quite well.
Mhm.
But how do we make your life easier when it comes to other services that you're paying for elsewhere?
Mhm.
So, for example, if you're dealing with a lawyer,
So expand the
or
value chain, basically.
correct, or a title company, if you're
Mhm.
getting insurance,
Mhm.
whether it's title insurance or if it's going to be home insurance,
Mm.
right? The goal is to bring in all sorts of other services into our system and to
Mhm.
also recognize that we might not be the best at doing certain things within the system. And what I mean by that is, let's say we create a set of documents for you to use.
Mhm.
We've already moved on to the next task because we won't have a team dedicated to creating more and more documents specifically for you. Our expectation is our clients can already put in whatever documents they want, or our team can help them. But what if we opened up our platform and API for anybody to develop any documents
Right.
they want and to
Right.
share those documents,
Right.
whether it's at a one-time cost or recurring cost? It allows them to make money. It keeps your costs down because now you don't have to pay,
Mhm.
let's say, a lawyer to create a set of docs for you, and you can use somebody else's proven docs. So these are the kinds of questions that we're trying to solve internally. And Mortgage Automator is just one vertical. We're already actively working on multiple other verticals
Mhm.
to get into so that we can create a whole platform of
Very cool.
various verticals that we address.
So what's it like having private lenders as your primary clients? Are we a bunch of divas? Are we easy to deal with, hard to deal with? What's you had other clients, other types of clients in your previous businesses. How does dealing with private lenders compare?
I really enjoy this market. I really do. I think we work with brilliant people who and with private lenders. I think if their own value chain or value system internally is good, then these are just solid people. They
Mhm.
they put their investors' money first. They invest them as if it's their own money,
Sure.
and so typically these individuals have a lot of integrity. They are very driven. They're all very hardworking, and to contrast about U.S. versus a Canadian market. I do think that it's much easier to work with Americans generally and with the U.S. market. You show them a system and they understand the value proposition and they
Mm.
want to put down the credit card right
You want to
away.
buy
So
right away.
so we actually have to slow them down and say, well, whoa, hold on a second,
Okay.
hold your horses. Let's make sure that this is a good fit for you and for us.
Right.
And then after we have those conversations, then we'll bring you onto the system. Whereas in Canada, to contrast that, it can take 3 months of knocking on somebody's door until they say
Right.
finally, okay, we're ready to go.
Right. Interesting.
But yeah, great place to be.
Well, we would not be friends otherwise. So it certainly worked out that way. Pavel, I want to thank you so much for joining us here, for having this chat with me. I think you have so much more to offer. I know we're going to have you back here and continue this conversation.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.